I want to just say that my duties as MC for today are quite easy since it's a virtual launch. I'm sure we're all accustomed to Zoom by now. So it means that I don't have to do a safety briefing. I don't have to do much housekeeping because wherever you are, that's the rules would follow. But the easy thing is that your tea stations and your beverages are easily accessible, so I don't have to guide you to any of those things. This launch is going to be not so much of a launch, but a very interactive session. So we want you to participate as much as possible. As the program goes on, you will be guided to go into smaller groups and actually contribute. And those sections of the program will not be recorded. So we'd want you to participate. Feel free to air your views, to say how you feel, to contribute your ideas, because the intent of this is to actually get everybody fired up about the program, which we are going to roll out in the 6 divisions, which are this Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation, the Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs, the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, the Southwest Regional Health Authority, SWARO, the Eastern Regional Health Authority, ERHA, and the Customs Division of the Ministry of Finance. So again, thank you all for being willing to come on board. I think it was important for us to have this launch of this program this year, at the end of this year. It is significant for us that all the work that has gone into developing the PSPMS is actually rolled out and is actually used and finds a home and resides with members of the public service. A lot of work has gone into developing it. Some of you would have been familiar with a previous iteration of it, which is the Ministerial Performance Management Framework, MPMF. And so at the end of this year, which has felt like the craziest year, 2020 has been one for the record books, it is important to us to pause for a moment and realize that we are still doing work, that we are still able to revolutionize systems in the public service. Imagine that we are having fully virtual meetings now. So much digital transformation has happened. As the representative from this ministry, I can say that the numbers of services that have now gone online, the efforts that have been made for people to transition to that virtual space is so commendable. Even for those of you who have children who are now attending school via Zoom and those online platforms, we have adjusted so well. And that is testament to how we are going to roll out this system. We know that it's part of what we do. We adapt, we improve, we seek new ways of doing things, and we transform for the better so that we can better serve the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. That's our role in the public service. So I look forward to having you all participating and fully engaged and ready to go with the, I should make you all type it fast in the chat, see who can type it the fastest. Public Sector Performance Management System, yes. So I will, without further ado, introduce the representative from our ministry who's going to bring opening remarks, and that is our permanent secretary, the permanent secretary of MPADT, Mr. Claudel McKellar.
Thank you, Ms. Gopal, for your remarks this morning. certainly bringing your warmth and enthusiasm to this morning's proceedings, and we're very grateful for that. Senator the Honorable Alison West, Minister of Public Administration and Digital Transformation, Mrs. Arlene McComey, Permanent Secretary Retired and Management Consultant, Ms. Colleen Galazzi, Program Director, Modernization and Service Improvement Division here at the Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation, Permanent Secretaries, CEOs, Heads of participating organizations, fellow public officers, good morning to all. Welcome and thank you for taking time to attend this virtual launch of the Public Sector Performance Management System, the PSMPS. Firstly, permit me to acknowledge the tremendous effort undertaken by the executive and staff of the organizations that are participating in the pilot of this program and who responded to the establishment of teams in those organizations who are ready and willing to embark on a journey of ministerial performance management with us. Thank you. Without your presence here today, there would not be a program to launch. I know that this may be your third or even fourth virtual meeting for the week, as this is the norm. So I promise to be crisp with my remarks, but not too crispy, as I would still like us to take some time to acknowledge that this meeting signals the start of a new way of doing business in the public service. One that places greater emphasis on results and performance measurement. Public service is a business, and I think it's time we start treating the business of public service as serious business. For those who have had the privilege of working in the public sector for more than 15 years and have been actively involved in transformation efforts, you would understand that this meeting today on a completely digital platform is a step in the right direction and a step that we must take. It is a step on a path that we have wanted to traverse, mainly because it leads to improvement of the public sector for both employees and citizens, and we thank you for making this vision a reality. The public service has made great strides in the way of modernization over the years, but admittedly, we still have a lot of work to do. We need to ready ourselves to go the distance, not only by improving our work processes, but also by improving service delivery to our clients. This is the primary measure of our success, client satisfaction, and our key value proposition to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Today's launch of the PSMPS is the start of, or in some cases, a continued work relationship with you, our participating agencies. And as such, collaboration is the key if we are to make a difference in the experiences of those we serve. You represent key and impactful sectors. You dispense health services, you administer customs, you take care of the underserved and vulnerable members of society. You strengthen the public service and its ability to work better. And you make sure that all our citizens are recognized and identified. If you give this program your best and help spread the word about the successful pilot that we are about to embark on, that improves service across the public sector, you will be doing yeoman service to Trinidad and Tobago. Working towards an efficient public sector has significant benefit for Trinidad and Tobago as a whole. Increased transparency, improved ranking in global indices, such as the ease of doing business, and positively improving Trinidad and Tobago's position and outlook for investors. People want to invest in a society that is moving forward, where processes are smooth, timely, providers are eager to move forward. I did promise to keep my remarks short, so in closing, let me again thank our participating ministries and organizations who have agreed to be part of this project. You are in for a very exciting journey, and I thank you. Best wishes.
Thank you very much, PS. I take note of what you would have said about the business of public service. And I think we have certainly felt that in 2020 when we have had to do a number of change management on the fly. A number of change management principles has come into us dealing with COVID, and we have acted as a business, rallying together to continue doing our work and to modernize how we do it. So at this point, I'd like to acknowledge Minister West, the Minister of Public Administration and Digital Transformation, who's in the Zoom meeting room with you. Minister West has been very passionately championing the digital transformation agenda of this ministry, but she has fully acknowledged that part of that digital transformation, a large part of it, is the work of the public administration transformation, our transformation agenda. And the work under that portfolio sort of works in tandem with the digital transformation, because we can't go about fully getting online with our services and meeting our customers where they are on the digital platforms without reviewing the processes that we currently have in the public service. So they work together, and she will share some more with you about how we are going to do that through this program. So I will invite Minister Alison West, the Minister of Public Administration and Digital Transformation, to deliver the keynote address now.
Good morning. Thank you very much to the RMC. Mr. Claudel McKellar, Permanent Secretary of Public Administration and Digital Transformation, all permanent secretaries present, retired permanent secretary in the Trinidad and Tobago Public Service, Mrs. Arlene McCormick, members of staff, guests, welcome. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you all for virtually joining us at today's launch event of the Public Sector Performance Management System. Under normal circumstances, we would be gathered together for such an event, sitting close enough to whisper to our neighbor. But as we all know, these are not normal circumstances. The launch of this program at this time is quite significant. We are law management system after 9 months of COVID and the associated socio-economic impact. We have all seen firsthand the importance of data collection in the health sector, informed decision-making, and how resilient we can be to changes when we work together. The performance management system is based on these very same principles: valuing data collection, evidence-based decision-making, and working together to achieve a shared vision. The overall goal and objective of this program is to assist you in measuring and improving your delivery of services to citizens. As Minister with responsibility for the digital transformation agenda, I know how much ministries have already done towards digitizing our service delivery. All of the pilot ministries represented here today have helped to change the digital government landscape of Trinidad and Tobago, with online civil registries, free Wi-Fi in public spaces, and the digitization of social welfare records, just to name a few. However, there's much more work to be done. We have to continuously refine our understanding of our customers to ensure that our programs are meeting their needs and expectations. To do this, we need data. We need to understand where we are and to know how to get where we want to go. The management system will allow us to develop our capacity and capability to collect and to monitor this data to improve our performance and service our citizens. The program also recognizes that the quality of the service our customers receive rests with the employees in the public service. A critical part of the management system seeks to understand and improve employee engagement to enhance the quality of work and thereby improve the quality of service employees provide to citizens. The PSPMS pilot anticipates a 2-year cycle of engagement, starting with performance planning, then citizen and staff input, development of an action plan and its implementation, reviewing subsequent performance, and reporting on the cycle of engagement. I firmly believe that we can and will show that we are a public sector that is more transparent, accountable, and efficient, that is citizen-centric and focuses on staff recognition and development if we work together during this pilot cycle. And like this pandemic has taught us, even in difficult times, we can persevere if we work with a spirit of collaboration, knowledge sharing, and vision. We will continue to add value to citizen services, even with scarce resources, and find innovative ways to mitigate challenges every day. Each of us at every level in the public service has a part to play in driving change and improving service to our citizens. I know that the road ahead may come with some obstacles and bumps, but this year has shown us that we are equipped to meet them head on. I know that we can create a public service that is modern, flexible, and data-driven, that provides a seamless, citizen-centric experience. In closing, I would like to thank you all in advance for your efforts to make this program a success, especially those who were instrumental in organizing this program. It has been no small feat in getting us to this launch date, and I commend all of you for the work you put in. The Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation stands ready to collaborate with all of the pilot ministries, divisions, and agencies to help us not only realize our national development goals outlined in Vision 2030, but also to provide a public service of which our citizens and employees can be proud. I thank you for your time today and look forward to working with you in the coming months to generate tangible results for our customers. Let me take this opportunity to wish you and your families and loved ones a very merry, though more subdued Christmas and a COVID-free, service-focused 2021. I thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Minister of Public Administration, Senator the Honorable Alison West. Taking note of her address, she would have said that we do stand ready to collaborate with all the ministries who are signed on to pilot, and that is very true. A lot of work has gone into developing the stages of the PSPMS. It's a 2-year cycle, and there's going to be so much work, but it won't feel like work, just like how this launch won't feel like a launch because of the activities and the engagement that we've planned. And I think that is setting the tone for how the rest of the program will roll out. I just want to remind you all that in the Zoom chat, please feel free to post up any comments or any questions that you might have during the program. If you are experiencing any issues with quality or what you are seeing, just let us know. You can do a raise hand or you can drop a comment in the chat. We aim for it to be as engaging as possible. So if anything resonates with you and you want to mention it, or if you just have a question and you hope that it will be addressed later on in the agenda, just put it down in the chat of the Zoom. Next on the agenda is a collaborative story activity. And this is one of the activities that will be done in the smaller breakout rooms on Zoom, via Zoom. There's no need for you to do anything. You will automatically be assigned to 6 different breakout rooms. You'll also be assigned with your own ministries, so you don't have to feel shy. I know it's early in the morning, but we still want you ticking and raring to go with your ideas and your contributions to the story, which is going to be about the vision for the public service experience. So there's nothing that you need to do to go into the room. And once the session is finished, it's timed. So there'll be nothing that you have to do to return to the main room. You just wait for the time to finish. Your facilitators in the room will explain to you your activity, give you all the instructions, and then once the time of this session is finished, you'll be returned to the main room. So don't leave. We're certainly not done. Don't leave the main meeting, and just participate as you go into your breakout rooms. And then we'll rejoin here together so you can share what it is that you would have worked on. So I'll let that happen now. Okay, thanks. So, welcome back, everyone, back to our main room. If your session was anything like what happened with the executive session that I was overhearing here, I think you all would have had a great visioning exercise. The purpose of this is clear to see. It's what we would have said about the PSPMS is that we have to know where we want to go in order to know how we are going to get there. So I'm going to invite the facilitators of each of the breakout rooms now to share with us what came out of their visioning exercise just now. So the persons from breakout room 1, the facilitators, can you share now? All right, she's just asked for 2 seconds. She's sharing her screen. This story is quite exciting that we would have heard about how to hire a candidate.
Are you seeing my screen? Yes, so we're all seeing the screen. Yeah, so we had a quite an exciting journey here with this story. It's pretty long, and you'll be able to see the connections as I read through the statements provided by the participants in our room, the various PSs and former PS. So I'll be reading almost verbatim, if that's okay. Should I take off my mic? Yeah. That should be better. Okay. So it commences with submission. Okay, everyone should be hearing me clearly. Raise a hand if you can hear me. All right, wonderful. So reading from start to finish, I will be able to submit my request electronically. My staff and I will be able to collaborate with PMCD via technology. I would like to get a response electronically from PMCD, and this exercise will take us 1 week. We will be able to virtually hold interviews. So you see we're progressing to the interview stage now. For recruitment for the position, electronic selection techniques will allow us to select the best candidate for our position. We will be able to set up the panel and have the results within a short period of time. We will be able to communicate our acceptance of the candidate electronically. We will be able to submit all documents for approval electronically to Minister. Online technology will allow us to track the status of our request. This will include the robust salaries that we will be offering to our candidates so that the candidates will be able to accept. Our candidates will also be able to communicate their acceptance of the offer electronically, and the terms and conditions will also be submitted electronically to CPO. Candidate referees will be able to submit their references online. Of course, we are seeing online technology going right through. We're seeing interaction via technology. We even seen some issues with time frames. Successful candidates will be able to assume virtually and be able to work from home. Our interconnected HR will be able to finalize all arrangements electronically, and the candidates will be able to take up their positions safely, securely, and with robust internet connectivity. And with respect to clients accepting the offer, this will be done electronically. Candidates will be able to sign their contracts virtually using electronic signatures. The candidate will be able to meet all persons they have to work with electronically. PS will be able to monitor performance of the candidates electronically, and in the event that it doesn't work out with the candidate, termination can also take place electronically. So we are seeing a virtual end-to-end transaction occurring with our new best-in-class, ideal, futuristic public service experience. And this is with respect to getting assistance with creating a new position in your organization. So it didn't just remain with the new position, but it went through to recruitment, selection, and actual termination. Okay, so group one.
Thank you very much, Group 1. I think it's quite telling that our PS added that termination line at the end. If the robust connectivity doesn't work, it will be the same for IT, I assume. So now we go over to the facilitator from Breakout Room 2. Would you mind sharing your collaborative story with us?
Good morning, everybody. Kevin Doyle representing Team Modification and Digitization. They came up with that name. Our selected activity was applying for a birth certificate. We had a really engaging discussion. Participants from Magla, Finance, and the SWRHA have been joined in this group, and everybody was able to share their experience with trying to apply for a birth certificate. We even got one participant, saying that on 3 occasions he had different experiences, and his latest one, he still hasn't received something that we really need to know. But in terms of the story, it went a little like this. My wife, well, not my wife, but you understand, went to General Hospital to have a baby boy. And of course, we knew we needed to obtain the birth certificate. However, in our consultations and attending the health center, going to the health center beforehand, there were brochures, signage, etc. available at the center, so people would know what is expected when you need to apply for a birth certificate. And of course, there was a portal online that had this information. So we were very well prepared upon birth, or when our baby boy arrived, to submit the application one time online. And through, having multiple options, being able to go and actually collect it, or TT Post, again, that's great for customers to give them their choice. We chose to have it delivered within 3 days to our residents. And that's the story for Team Modification and Digitization.
Team Modification and Digitization. Lovely. Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Breakout Room 3. If you could just remember to introduce yourself and tell us, if you don't have a team name like they did, where most of your participants are from, which ministry. Thanks.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. This is Sharda from Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation. We didn't have a team name, but this team was from Social Welfare Division and Family Services. Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. Great. We had a little bit of teething issues at the start with the microphones and the cameras. So we unfortunately didn't get to finish our story, but we did have a very good start. What the team basically found, or basically their future state, looks a lot like what we already are putting into the public service. Very, very close. Again, the story is not finished yet, but they found that in the ideal world, as well as what we do now, there would be the increased use of technology in the system, in the process. The coordinator started this story. I rolled out of bed and logged on to the Ministry of Finance's website, and the rest of the team added a line. So I'll just read off what they came up with. I rolled out of bed and logged on to the Ministry of Finance's website. I downloaded the information and the form. Then I went to TT Connect to get the TT Connect number. After creating the account, I put in my personal information and I got through with the registration. I had some questions, so I typed into the chat bar and I input my questions, and the system returned some suggestions. Now, this is just the start of the story, and we're expecting that in the future state, the technology will be used to further reduce user footprint. It will be used to increase the ease of access through the remote access to services, and that with PSPMS, we should be able to get transactions even smoother. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shada, with that shortened form of a story, but that's okay. We appreciate that you all still gave it a good start. And we're seeing again technology playing a big role. Breakout room 4, please introduce yourself and tell us your story.
Good morning, everybody. I am Aja Simonbach, and we are from Breakout Room 4. Our activity was getting an emergency grant. So I'll read our story. The members of our team were from the Eastern Regional Health Authority. So I heard a loud burst of rain at about 8 p.m. in the night, and I looked out of my window and heard loud commotions. When I looked further, I saw a bed and couch set floating on a big pool of water. Not too long after, I realized my house was completely flooded. Relatives indicated that there was a huge flood, and many homes were destroyed, and many people also needed assistance. Everything in my home was destroyed. My children's items, furniture, and I had no place to stay, and I was now distressed. At this point, I needed some form of assistance to get my feet back on the ground. A family friend told me that help is available through a ministry, but I wasn't clear where. I decided to visit my MP's office. When I got there, there were lots of people. Although people were there for long hours, there were lots of CSRs on the ground taking people's information. They were very friendly, and the line started moving very quickly with these people taking information. They then advised me to call the ODPM or the regional corporation to get assistance and feedback. I called and they expressed their sympathy and requested over the phone for my name and address. Before I got off the phone, a link was sent to me to fill out all of my information. Once I filled it out, I received a bank alert that there was $20,000 credited to my account. The end.
Thank you very much, Aja and Breakout Room 4, for that. I think we should give prizes for best storytelling because some of these groups are quite entertaining and descriptive. Breakout Room 5, please introduce yourself and share your story with us. Breakout Room 5. Are you able to connect? All right, if there's an issue, we could go to Breakout Room 6 and we'll come back to Breakout Room 5. No? Okay, so Breakout Room 5, please go ahead and unmute your mic and go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Apologies. Our group was joined with another, so Breakout Room 5 was initially assigned Ministry of Attorney General and Legal Affairs, but they joined with another group, so you can move on to the other one.
Oh, okay. So, if you are ready, you can go ahead, and then we'll join with the next. We'll take the next group after.
No, we don't have anything to present because our group joined with another.
Okay. All right. So the presenter for the next group.
Hello?
The presenter for the next group, you can go ahead with your story.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Curtis Bob. I'm the facilitator for Group 6. The team that we worked with was Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation. And the process that we were looking at is the renewal of the passport. So at this time, I would just like to hand over to the co-facilitator, Monique Clement, who is going to give you our definition of the future state of the renewal of the passport.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So the story begins. I go online to fill out the passport renewal form. And I was able to set an appointment via a virtual platform. Not only was I able to set the appointment, but I was also able to attend the appointment via a virtual platform. On the day of the interview, let me go back there, I was informed that that hard copies of my documents were no longer required because the database that contained the soft copies of my essential documents was available because of a database connection between the Immigration Department, the EBC, and the Registrar's Department. Additionally, I was also elated because I did not have to provide or go to the police station to provide a certificate of character because the police station's database system was also connected to the Immigration Department's database system. Somebody say interoperability. Whoop, whoop. All right. Next, I was informed rather. Okay, so next on the day of the interview, I was very delighted because the interview took place under 15 minutes. I was then informed that my passport would be delivered to me within 3 working days. Because I was so excited that my passport would be delivered to me within 3 working days, I proceeded to book my flight to New York, knowing that my permanent secretary would approve my application for vacation. Yes. Subsequent to that, because I received my passport within the 3 working days that was stipulated, I returned to the Immigration Department website to give them feedback that I was pleasantly surprised at the efficient process for my passport renewal. The end.
Thank you very much, Monique. I close my eyes and I imagine the public service that you all have described in all the groups, and it makes me excited. Thank you for sharing so candidly your hopes and dreams for the processes that we can achieve in the future, especially at the end of the year and going into a new one. I think all of us on an individual level are encouraged to do visioning exercises for the next year. And so I hope we will keep the notes from today and send it back out to you all as part of this process, because once we know where we are going, where we want to go, it's much easier to know how to get there. So that was the first collaborative story activity. I hope that you all are feeling a bit more comfortable now to turn on your videos, to interact with your facilitators, to chat, free up yourself a little bit. So we're going to go into another breakout room activity, and you'll stay in your same groups. So it will be the same groups that you would have just been in. And again, you don't have to do anything. You'll automatically go in once we give the cue, and then you'll be brought back into the main room once you leave the breakout room, not the entire meeting. So this activity is going to give you a little bit of a critical thinking question to ponder, and your facilitators again will give you the instructions and guide you through it. So enjoy, and let's get participating again. Yes, everybody's back in the main room. Thank you very much for participating in that critical thinking question. Again, I'm overhearing what the executive breakout room 1 was discussing, and I'm loving the engagement and interaction and all the questions that came up. So it's breakout room 1. Corinne, are you ready? All right, so we'll move along swiftly, and the executive team will present their solution to the critical thinking question.
Sure. Let me just share my screen.
So she's just going to share her screen. So 1 minute, 1 second. All right.
Okay. Hello again. Are you seeing my screen? Yes, are you all hearing me? Okay. Yes. So there was lively discussion in breakout room 1 with PS McKellar, DPS Lum Joseph, and former PS McComey. So with respect to what will be lit first, there were questions about is there any information on the rate at which each will burn? The candle, the lamp, the fireplace. You know, we had some technical questions here. Where are they located? Can you put your hand on the lamp or on the candle? But with the group discussion, there was a focus in we need to be able to see. So there is a match. We will light the match first to give consistent illumination. From there, we will use a lamp to light the candle, then use a candle to light the fireplace. Why the candle was not lit first was because the candle can go out, because there could be a draft in the room, right? I mean, it's a cold cabin, maybe broken windows, but the candle can go out first, and if the candle goes out first and there's only one match, then the end goal of surviving the night will be a distant goal, which may not be attainable. Yes? So in terms of you cannot use a lamp to light a fireplace, because there was a question, can we use a lamp? The lamp has a shade. So if you try to use a lamp to light the fireplace, you could actually catch the place of fire. There was a suggestion you can throw kerosene on the firewood in order to, be able to get warm very quickly, but that in itself also could cause a fire, and persons may be running for their lives out into the cold. So the final decision was light the candle. The sequence was light the lamp, then light the candle, and then light the fireplace. So you will be able to get illumination, you'll be able to get warmth, and you'll be able to survive the night. In terms of connections to jobs, decision making, use of limited resources, and so, discussion among the team, it was seen that and felt and known that you never have all the resources you require. Resources are limited. Management is about prioritizing and making decisions, and also we saw that you need to identify and manage your risks, right? Risk of the candle blowing out, risk of starting a fire if you throw the kerosene on the firewood, risk of dying of cold. The light was also seen, an analogy was made there. The light could be seen as your people in your organization, and you need to protect your people. So the shade on the lamp, you're protecting your people. Teamwork was also seen to be important with respect to identifying what will work and how it will work. So the team was able to identify the end goal and successfully move towards the end goal, surviving the night. They were able to identify smaller goals in terms of improving visibility, to see what is in the room, where it is located, and to be able to keep warm, right? And so in the discussions, we can also glean that there were small steps that can be taken to make a big difference. What you light, how you light, when you light, and you get the end result, you survive the night. Okay, so that was group 1, our PSs, PS and former PS and DPS.
Yes, it does deserve a round of applause. Thank you very much to the executive team for that high-level thinking, literally, of that question. We'll jump straight to team number 2. I think it was Keva, if I remember correctly, who presented for breakout room 2. Just go straight into your solution, please. Go ahead.
Sure, no problem. Again, modification. We got some new members into our team. But all in all, the final process after persons really got to think about it, realize the first thing, of course, that you light is the match, first and foremost. And then in terms of a sequence, the candle would be lit. That would be used in lighting the fireplace as well as the lamp. Just in terms of linking it back to work and what we're involved in, especially here today with the framework, is that each team member has their own perspective and brings a different type of you know experience to the table. And I saw that come out in our discussion, and people took on what others had to say. And then the whole idea of assumptions and considering what is in the environment and the different risks and the potential and, well, the uncertainties that are there. But at the end of the day, a decision needs to be made, and it needs to be made in a timely manner. So I think that is what really came out in our discussions.
Thanks very much. Quickly over to group 3. Let us know what you came up with in this challenge.
Hi, good morning again. The Ministry of Social Development and Family Services made up Group 3. We moved a little faster this time. The facilitator asked persons in turn to give their responses after the situation was read out. Most answers were given from the participants, and they differed for different reasons. The match, for instance, was seen as the weakest light, so something more robust was needed. But what was to be lit differed based on what persons saw as important. One person raised the issue of checking first that the options available, such as the lamp and the fireplace, making sure that they were fit for use before they could be considered. The facilitators debriefed everyone afterwards in terms of the sequence, the match, the lamp, the candle, the fireplace. And the team was asked to reflect on how these things could be applied back on the workplace in terms of sequencing tasks and how we deal with limited resources. Thank you.
Thanks, Shada. Over to Team 4. Go ahead if you're ready.
Hello. So the final process, it was basically the same consensus as Group 1 with the ERHA. So the group came up with their answers as a team. So they said that they would light the oil lamp because the candle, if you light candle first, that could probably out. So the light in the oil lamp would be sustainable. And then you light the candle, then you use it to light the fireplace. And in case of making use of scarce resources, they explain that they always have to make use of their scarce resources. So they have this basic principle where they say 1 + 1 = 3. So all synergies would combine to get a maximum result. Thank you.
We like that ERHA. You're thinking 1 + 1 = 3. Okay, so Team 5, I believe it is breakout room 5. We go over to you. Well, the combination of that group. You can go ahead.
Hi, we joined with Team 1, so we were in that room. So you can move on to Team 2. You can move on to the next team.
All right, so that would be Curtis, I think. Y'all can go ahead.
Yes, thank you again. So again, we were team MPADT. So we were very similar to the others. So I'm going to pass you again to Monique, who is going to give you the sequence of our events.
Okay, so good morning again. As I read out the sequence, I will also link it to the intended objectives to kind of save time. Like the other teams, and as is expected in collaboration within teams, You're going to find a varying of perspective and approaches, which is also necessary, but we were all able to come to consensus in the following way. So, first things first, you like the match. One of the things I appreciated in terms of the contribution was that not only do you like the match, but you ensure that in the next you use the match to light the candle before the match actually burns out. So linking that to the whole objective of resource scarcity, sequencing, etc., or using small steps to accomplish big things. You know that there are times when we have not only limited resources, but you have limited resources for a limited amount of time. So that, that emphasis on lighting the candle before the match burns out, I think is a critical component in, with respect to efficient resource allocation in an instance where there's scarcity, right? So that's step 1 and 2, light the match, light the candle. Step 3, use some of the oil from the lamp to pour upon the wood at the fireplace, and that way you would increase the flammability of the wood. Next, you use the flame from the candle to light the fireplace, and then after that, use the flame from the candle to light the lamp and to enable mobility. So that what I appreciate in those steps is that not only did they utilize the oil from the lamp, but they utilized some of the oil. I heard someone else earlier in one of the groups share that if you lit the fireplace after having poured the oil on it with probably the flame from the lamp itself, then it might cause, an uncontrollable fire. But in this instance, they were careful to ensure that they used some of the oil from the lamp, right? And then you retain some of the oil so that we can not only light the fireplace to keep the place warm and to illuminate the place, but in the instance of probably maybe needing to move out of the cabin for some reason, you actually have the lamp lit and you have oil remaining in the lamp so that, they'll be able to survive the night and ensure flexibility. And I think I appreciate that the team was able to consider those two factors, the factor of time with respect to resource scarcity and the factor of flexibility in ensuring that you don't use all of your resources in one place, but you try to divide the resources in an efficient way so that, you can accomplish more in various and other aspects of the project, the plan, the initiative, etc. So definitely this team was like a Bright Sparks team. We don't have a name, but definitely very critical thinking when that actually took place there. So I'll turn you over to the MC.
Thank you, Monique. Bright Sparks is a good name considering you were trying to light a lamp and a match, so that made sense. Listening to all of you present, I realized that we turned you into, just for that brief activity, into MacGyver's. Those of you who remember that show, which was, I hope most of you remember that show, which was a lesson in resource management, basically. And it feels, again, like this year and the preceding years have been the same sort of lessons that have been coming up in terms of resource scarcity and management and making do with what you have. And I think we'll all have this takeaway from ERHA, 1 + 1 = 3. That is how we've certainly been functioning at MPADT, and I suspect in all of your agencies. So on the agenda next is a presentation on the trends in performance measurement and planning in the public sector. So a lot of what came out before were some questions on where the candle is, if you throw the kerosene on the wood, what would happen? And all of that is involved in measurement. We need to know how much we're doing, how much is needed, what we have, what we don't have. So the presentation will be by Mrs. Arlene McComey. She is a retired public officer who has served for over 36 years, including 12 years as a permanent secretary in various ministries in Trinidad and Tobago. She is of the view that as a leader, you must keep yourself on the cutting edge, and so she's completed an executive MBA focusing on public sector management in 2013 with distinction. Mrs. McCormy is now involved in several learning activities and consultancies. She has lectured in innovation, corporate governance, and public policy at Arthur Lopchak Graduate School of Business, and has consulted on leadership transitions in government, capacity building in policies and procedures. Her passion for the transformation, development, and growth of the public service in Trinidad and Tobago and across the region persists. One of her visions is to witness the growth of competent, knowledgeable, and ethical leadership throughout the region. So we certainly thank her for being here today, and we look forward to what she will contribute in this presentation. Mrs. McCormy.
I will die if I keep this on. Good morning to all. It's not a presentation per se. It's more of a conversation and thoughts. As I looked at the information, this is not the first time we are walking this road, and therefore I am hoping and dreaming and visioning that not that it won't be the last, but that it will be done correctly. And in that vein, I'm going to, share and ask questions and give some information as I go along. Now, I know the PSMS is conceptualized as a program to strengthen the public sector's capacity to measure performance at the organizational level. In your brief, you indicated that there are two questions that you need to ask at each performance review. And here we will hope that this is not annually, but this is continually. How are we doing? And how are we going to do better? But as you ask yourself the questions and you develop your action plans, you need to consider a myriad of questions. And some of these I have stated here, and I will just share them without any discussion. But it's to take note, and I can always share some of these questions, but there will be more as you proceed. Are the necessary cross-functional collaborations and networking taking place to ensure implementation and success? And I ask that question because as I look at the agencies with which you would have collaborated before, I didn't see service commissions, so I don't know if that was an oversight. I saw personnel department. Are our processes still relevant and meeting the needs of our customers? That has to be a continuous review. Are our staff equipped with the knowledge, skills, aptitudes, and competencies to undertake and complete the tasks, which is critical? Is the leadership agile, which means is leadership able to embrace change, collaborate with employees for the solution, focus on delivery, and so able to adapt and change as required? Do they have the influence, which is critical and sometimes ignored, to cause the necessary changes to take place? Are our organizations equipped with the change management capacity that will be required to navigate frequent changes that will emerge? And this is critical because a lot of times, I think it's coming more and more to the fore, but we overlook the need for change management in each individual situation. People change at different paces, and if we are to get everyone to come along with us, we need to ensure that they understand. Will small core internal dedicated units that will have resources like change management, data analysts, project specialists, etc., communications, be created to monitor, manage and push the implementation of the PSPMS. I saw where you will have collaboration teams. It has to be stated specifically that these teams need to be a semi-permanent fixture. They can't be that these people have their normal jobs and this is part of what they are supposed to do over the next 2 years. So those are just some of the questions. Another one, has a policy been developed and legislation contemplated that will guide you through this process? I spoke to the fact that we went this way already to some extent. It is not exactly the same route. The first time, and it was mentioned, the Ministerial Performance Management Framework, it began by looking at how do you assess the performance of a permanent secretary. And that couldn't be done with the normal performance appraisal and setting targets, as a permanent secretary is integrally linked to the organization, to the delivery of the customer's service, to delivery and outcomes of projects, to the interaction with staff. It's all critical. At that time, the Prime Minister, who was Patrick Manning, indicated in a letter to permanent secretaries, the challenges of managing in a complex environment with limited resources are many. That's the situation today as well. However, this makes the need to monitor progress and assess performance critical in order to improve performance and service. We need to keep learning how to perform better and to find new and creative ways of providing services. In this regard, permanent secretaries, the government's most senior professional leaders, need to model the way forward by monitoring and measuring the performance of their ministries in achieving the vision and goals of the nation. And at the end of the day, this is where we want to be, to deliver the visions of 2030 to the citizens of our nation and ensure that it is done properly and well. Now, as we proceed, we need to learn, and there are lots of lessons learned out there. We need to learn from persons who have gone this route before, not just public sector organizations and government, but also from private sector. We take the learnings where they are applicable. In the case of the Australian Public Service, that's a key country that has been going through public performance management systems and review for a very, very long time. The report I looked at, I think it was for 2010, but they were even going back to 1996 and what they would have experienced. And it's a lot of lessons that I think we can learn from. Their case and their context would be different, but we would need to ensure that we look at their learnings over time. They have a Public Service Act since 1999. We are going on our Civil Service Act and regulations that has not been changed since, and I wouldn't say the time, it's before some of you were born. They looked at an integrated framework that each agency could use and customize to their agency so that it wasn't a one-size-fits-all, but they had different needs, and therefore they were supposed to look at it and structure how they framed their performance management framework. So they called it a generalized performance management framework, where you stated what your outcomes were, your business planning, you had performance review and feedback, and of course you're always looking to ensure that you are aligned with the strategic direction. In looking at some of the lessons and some of the directions, they indicated some of the factors that are critical to success, which included alignment, designing performance management based on a detailed understanding of the outcomes of government by the stakeholders and the nature of its business, clients, etc. Credibility, because we know our citizens out there. I don't know how they look at government now, but I remember, Claudel, when we did we looked at the whole issue of our country and how we performed on different factors. Our trust factor was possibly the lowest in the world, and I don't know where it is now. So what we do, we must be able to have transparency, fairness, simplicity, all must be able to understand, which means we have to have different communication messages across the board. They must be able to show or see where we are progressively implementing the performance management systems, and we have leadership at various levels. It's not just the permanent secretary who will be able to take the process forward. Integration, ensuring that performance is a part of the overall corporate management structure of the organization. And, there's a lot more where that is concerned. So our environment, therefore, with respect to performance management, must consider the PS, the CEO, the minister. Are they championing this cause? Are they actively taking part? Are they actively supporting the culture of the organization? What works in the organization? And they call it the maturity of systems, which is critical. Our systems are old and really, really in need of review. And I think this performance management system, with the focus on process re-engineering and process improvement, should bring our systems to greater maturity. But how do we ensure that all ministries and departments do that and are able to do that? Of course, the nature of the business. Legislation helps, and we have in legislation our code of conduct, which can be used, but I would imagine at this point in time, which needs to be reviewed to ensure that within each organization, the values we hold there are there across the board, and that we are not slipping in any way. And of course, which we know keeps us back a lot, our industrial climate. The trade unions, our industrial relations, our employee relations. What is our HR doing to ensure that we perform and we perform well? So those are some lessons learned at the global and international level. Regionally, we don't have that much information. As a matter of fact, as we have been progressing over the last few years, some of you may have heard of the Caribbean Leadership Development Program. They have asked us whether we have done any work on performance management systems, because a number of islands in the region have been looking at how do you create a robust system. And some of that information on the MPMF have been shared with them. How do we understand what to do as we progress with respect to our performance management system? What do the trends say that we need, how we need to perform? some of the information coming to the fore, and it has to be some because it is not the end of the story. And as we start the story or continue the story, other things will come up. Some of the things, coaching feedback as opposed to critical feedback, which normally happens in our performance appraisal systems on an annual basis. And therefore, the whole issue of development of the individual is sometimes not as it should be. So coaching feedback needs to be key. It needs to be continuous. It has to be the new normal. Don't wait until the end of the year to say, this is how you were performing, and half the time you can't even remember exactly how the person performed. You have to look at new synergies between employee engagement and performance management. We have the millennials among us, and we have the Generation Z who operate differently. We have to take all those things into consideration. The Harvard Business Review gives some insights that we should link our systems to a larger talent management fabric for outcome-focused decisions. That means the systems must link across the board, not just the public sector. So we are talking about, are the universities putting out the kinds of skills and talent, and not just universities, technical institutes, putting out the kinds of skills and talents we need to operate in our new environment? Do we embrace continuous performance management using agile systems? Do we ensure employee engagement features like rewards, recognition, two-way communication, that it's all available to us? And as I say, it doesn't have to be a big award that we plan. It could be one-on-one, giving of a little plant or a bookmark, or just say, I've noticed that you are working hard, and this is just to say thank you. Using learning and development to plug performance gaps, not waiting until the end of the year, but ensuring that it is done on a continuous basis. Transparency in leadership, honesty, integrity, sharing information. And we have to understand that sharing information is not that a PS will share every single thing, but you can selectively share information to help persons to understand things that they need to know. Sharing knowledge, coaching, mentoring, collaboration. You don't have all the answers, and therefore you need your staff to help you to develop. So, to some extent, what are some of the benefits? You have more employees who will be motivated to improve their performance. Managers will know their employees' strengths and weaknesses, and therefore will be able to recommend who may be doing what, or who needs to be promoted, or who needs a little more training. Employees would be more engaged and involved. They will go the extra mile. And I have seen that in this Ministry of Public Administration, where persons coming from the private sector and wonder, the public service works so hard, because they are seeing employees working till sometimes 6 o'clock in the evening on their own to finish things that needs to be done. And if the performance management system is done properly, administrative actions that are necessary will be fairer and more equitable. So, lastly, in terms of some of the benefits, a well-managed system plays an important role in managing the performance in any organization. Employees will understand the importance of their contribution towards organization goals and objectives, and they absolutely need to get that information. Each employee will be able to understand what is expected from them, and ascertaining whether the employees possess the skills required to perform the job. And if they don't, we take immediate action. And we don't always have to depend on HR for all of the actions. The head of the unit or the supervisor, the first lead, are first-line HR managers, and therefore should be able to take certain decisions. ensuring proper alignment of objectives and helping in communication throughout the organization. What is best than peers talking about a system and helping each other to understand? Help in a cordial relationship between an individual employee and the manager based on trust. And there's a lot out there on trust in the organization. It also provides scope and opportunity for incentives, rewards, performance, and career development. Based on the output of employee performance management systems, it helps us to discover the training and development needs of each individual employee. And I would suggest that the heads of your various sections would need to map some of these things so that they will know for each of their employees. It helps to strengthen the bonds between management and subordinates. So at the end of the day, across the public service, we would need to collaborate. Because you're in the Ministry of Public Admin does not mean that you must only understand what public admin does. If I ask someone from, the public admin is a bad example, because public admin as a center of government agency should know all about the rest of the public service. But I'm talking about maybe someone in agriculture must know exactly what public admin does, what the AG does, where a particular service is supposed to be. There must be collaboration and networking across the board. Good? And we must remain outcome-oriented so that at the end of the day, we achieve our targets as outlined in Vision 2030. And that does not mean that Vision 2030 will not be reviewed and realigned as we move. Look at what happened in 2020. Good? We are in a totally different place as at the end of 2019. So that an open mindset based on change and growth needs to be the order of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so tempted to say P.S. McComey again because I feel like you went back into wearing that hat in some of what you just shared. But thank you so much, Mrs. McComey. Not only did you share your wealth of knowledge, but also the wealth of knowledge from other jurisdictions. So we had what you would have learned from Australia, from the region, and the critical success factors necessary for this program. We did mention that this would be a lot of work to go forward with, and a lot of what Mrs. McComey highlighted is key to the work that we will have to do in order to achieve those goals that she would have mentioned that we are all aiming for to get Vision 2030 as a check. If you all saw the logo for PSPMS, it's a check mark that we have done what we're supposed to do. We've achieved our targets, and we're in green because we're ready to go to the next step. So that's what the logo meant, and I think that's what we are aiming for by launching this, by rolling out this PSPMS. We just want to take a very short break, a 5-minute break, to get you a little chance to go grab any beverages that you want, or to stretch your legs, or maybe a ladies or gents room break if needed. So it'll just be 5 minutes, and then we'll be back for the program. So again, don't leave. We still have much more to come. But just take a 5-minute break, and there'll be a timer on the screen to let you know when we're ready to resume. Okay, thank you. team to give me a signal that most people seem to be back in and ready. Yeah? All right, so hopefully you're all back in front of your screens and you've had a little time to process all the sharing that Mrs. McComey would have imparted, all that knowledge that she would have given us. I hope it sunk in that 5 minutes. Next up, we are going to do a little activity via Zoom poll. It's a vitals test activity. One of the facilitators from MPA DT's team, Ayende Burrow, will take us through this activity. But just a note, for if you have never done a Zoom poll, some of you who are not joining via the Zoom app may not see the pop-up questions. But everybody who's logged in and signed in on the Zoom app itself, you should be able to see what will pop up on your screen, some questions, and you'll be able to vote and live select in real time. So I'm going to pass it over to Ayende Burrow, who is from the Modernization and Service Improvement Division in the ministry. Ayende, are you online and ready to go?
Good morning, everyone. Once again, I trust that we are all getting energized and ready to take over Trinidad and Tobago with this PSPMS, right? So the vital test activity that we have prepared for today is just to get a sense of in the room of, how we feel about the public sector as it is in its current state, right? So you will see 5 questions come across your screen shortly. You'll have 1 minute to answer each question, right? And upon the answering all 5 questions, the results will be posted at the end, and we will get a general idea as to how everyone in this room feels pertaining to those questions, right? So you should see the questions coming up on your screen shortly. Right, so number 1, in general, what kind of service experience have you had while transacting with the public service? Number 2, what factors would have contributed to your negative service experience? Number 3, what factors would have contributed to your negative service experience? Number 4, do you think that organizational performance management will have a positive impact on the types of service experience the public service can provide? Right? Take your time and go through.
Ayende? Ayende, are you hearing me? Ayende? I think that just might have been a typo on question 2, and it should be the multiple choice. The first answer should be not applicable. I generally had a positive experience. I don't know if anybody in the Zoom chat could just verify that that's correct.
All right, so far 12 out of 25 people have voted. That's 48%. Waiting on the remaining 52. Oh, it went up a little bit there. So we're waiting on the rest to vote. We have approximately a minute and 15 seconds again. We have 10 more seconds to vote. 61% has voted.
Just remind them that
Yeah. If it is you're using web browser, and you're most likely not going to be able to get to do the vote. You have to have the app on your laptop or your device, right? There's an issue with the web browser. So if it is you're not able to vote, it may be because you're using the web browser and you don't have the app. No problem, Kadim Das. 19 of 27 people voted. Is it that the rest of the people are using the web browser and aren't able to vote? Okay, so the poll is about to end. We're looking to close it off. I think it's looking like everybody that is able to vote has voted. So the poll is about to. Okay, one more person voted, just in time. Okay, great. The poll has ended. Let us see what you guys think about the public service. For the first question, in general, what kind of service experience have you had while transacting with the public service? 45% generally positive, 55% generally negative. So straight off the bat, we see that it's almost 50-50, but the negative experience is still dominant in the public service. Number two, what factors would have contributed to your negative experience? 5% not applicable. I had a generally positive experience. 45% voted clarity of process, 45% voted for the nature of the interaction, 15% overall outcome, 15% other. So we have a tie between clarity of process and nature of the interaction. So I think that also lends to customer service. There's a perceived notion out there that there's poor customer service within the public service, as well as the not having the information readily accessible. It's very difficult to know what has to happen and when it has to happen in terms of applying for services and for grants and for these different things. Right? Right, so I will skip number 3. Number 4, do you think that organizational performance management will have a positive impact on the types of service experience the public service can provide? Overwhelmingly, people voted yes, 75%, 25% voted not sure. So I think this is a good sign that, especially from the people in this room, that we believe that what we are doing here today and going on for the next 2 years and hopefully many years after that would have a positive impact to the public service and to customer service, service delivery, performance management. So I think that this simple poll gave us some insight into some of the issues we see in the public service, and then also letting us know that we are on the right track and that we are doing the right thing, and hopefully there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? So that's it for the poll. I will be passing you back on to the MC now.
So 75% of you think that what we are doing here is important. Not one of you said that it's not important. And some of you are on the fence, you're not too sure, but that is incredibly promising. And I think it's great that we acknowledge how important organizational performance management is. Now, while that little temperature test is what we'll call it, wasn't as robust as all the other surveys and management questions that we'll be asking in the actual process of PSPMS, I think what it showed us is that how valuable real-time data is. And now that we have a sort of a feeling of what's happening in the room and how people have experienced public sector, what they're looking forward to. So that's such a simple way of driving home what results and figures and data can do as we go forward with PSPMS. So thanks for participating in that. Next, we want to show you a bit of something engaging, and hopefully you will find it interesting. Our PS of the Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation mentioned in his welcome remarks about the value of seeing the public service as a business. And I wonder how many of us think about it that way. What if we were a very large organization with different branches spread out across the country? We have targets to meet, i.e. Vision 2030, and we have our business to run. That's not so much a what if hypothetical scenario. That is actually how the public service is. It's the largest employer in Trinidad and Tobago. And we do have our business targets to meet. So I hope that this short explainer video on the PSPMS can give you a frame of reference to think about what it is that you are going to be taking part in as a pilot ministry of this venture.
The Public Sector Performance Management System. It's quite a mouthful, right? And it's also quite an expansive, weighty initiative. Sometimes we can get lost in all the acronyms and technical jargon. So instead, let's take a moment to have some bread. Welcome to the Public Service Bakery. Established in 1962, it's full of delicious baked goodies, with branches spread across the country, the best hop spread in Trinidad and Tobago, if you will. We've been around for a long time, and we have a pretty good idea of what we're doing, right? Or do we? Well, let's see. As our bakery looks to expand its markets and better serve its customers, the bakery's executive has earmarked a Bakers Convention in 2030 that we'd like to participate at. So that means innovation and improved efficiency are required so we can meet our targets and all our customers at the Bakers Convention in 2030 and beyond can be served and wowed. So that's the bakery's mission. But how do we know that we'll achieve the goals outlined for 2030? Each bakery branch has special offerings and different customers. So should they all have the same targets? What about our customers? What do they want? Currants rolls or cupcakes? What's our top product? What does innovative mean for our hub spread? A new recipe or a new package? How many do we need to make? We need a system to help us measure these things within each branch and all together as one unit, so we know where we're at, how far we have to go, what are the gaps we have to fill to get there, and how to fill them. Enter the Public Sector Performance Management System, or PSPMS. This system will enable the measurement and assessment of outcomes against targets and help us to notice in advance if corrective action is required. Using key performance indicators, targets, reports for measuring and assessing those indicators, the bakery staff can not only recommend areas for improvement, but also reward good work. The bakery's customers are from all different walks of life, of all ages, backgrounds, and economic status, and have different needs, preferences, even allergies. The PSPMS can help us get a firmer idea of how we can best serve them. But the only way this system can work and meet our targets is if everyone works together. Everyone has an important role. Every single bakery staff member counts. That's what PSPMS is all about, adding accountability and value to the public service. If we get this right, no doubt we'll hit all our targets for the big bakery convention in 2030, but more importantly, we'll wow our customers every day with great service and access to the products they need and want. So, what are we waiting for? Let's roll out the PSPMS. Let's get this bread. But not just any bread. The best, most nutritious, and freshest bread the public service can offer to our customers, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
I forgot to mention that video might have made you hungry. Feel free to drop any comments or how you feel if anything from the video resonated with you. We hope that it translated for you in a sort of analogy using the bakery, how the whole public service has to work together to measure and improve on what we offer to the citizens, which I guess can be seen to be as vital as bread. Actually, it's probably more vital than bread, because all the services that we provide are necessary, from education to health to seeing persons through from birth all the way to death. So if you have any comments or anything like that, drop them in the chat now. We'll now go on to another breakout room activity, which will be led by your facilitators in the breakout rooms. So time to roll up your sleeves and for you to contribute again. Remember, that you don't have to do anything. You'll just be guided in, and you'll come back out at the end of the time frame. All the instructions will be given by your facilitator. So we're back at it, and we'll join you in the main room again. Welcome back, everyone. Are we all back in the main room? Yeah, everybody's back? Executive team, we're back? Corey? We're actually back and ready to go. So the executive team went down to the wire with their choices for this activity. I wonder if that says how strenuous it is, an indication of how strenuous it was. So I'm going to ask for the facilitators to come back again and present for us. So Corinne, if you're ready, you can go ahead.
Are you hearing me? Are you seeing my screen? Let me just take off my mic. I can, okay. All right, so no feedback, right? Okay, so with respect to building a word, we had 5 letters. Our group, PS, McKellar, DPS, Lam Joseph, former PS, McComey, and we also had two persons who joined us for this activity, Ms. Cassie Ram Kerrising and Dr. Hazel Strawn, service providers attached to the ministry. So we came up with 5 letters, and based on the words, based on images, or based on items in the room here, you can see on the screen, P for plant, T for technology. We have a lot of technology-related stuff in the room here, based on our Zoom providers. C for connectivity, W for whiteboard, S for screen. And for each of these letters associated with PSPMS, and or service delivery. We saw that P, we can focus on people and processes. That is what the PSPMS. And when you think of service delivery, those are some of the elements that we focus on. We're focused on transformation. C, we want to ensure that there's continuous process transformation and continuous improvement. We also will be looking at wait times. We will have work breakdown structure with respect to how we manage our projects. And with respect to S, we saw that we will be focused on service and there'll be synergy across the various groups and various activities that we'll be involved in. And we sought to bring together the different letters and the different word associations to form a sentence going forward. And we came up with 2 sentences. We have one here. So let me just take off my mic. I understand some persons may be getting a bit of a feedback. All right, that should be better. So the sentence we came up with: service transformation through continuous reworking of processes. Yes? So that is how we sought to pull everything together and link it to our service delivery thrust and the focus of the PSPMS, right? Service transformation through continuous reworking of processes. Of course, there are other elements involved, but this was just based on the letters and the associations from our room here. Yes? Thank you.
All right. Service transformation through reworking of continuous processes. Is that right? See, it's stuck. Oh, continuous reworking. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So thank you very much. Breakout room 1 with the executives and the service providers. We'll now hand over to Sarita, I think, who will present for the next breakout room.
Hi. Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to share my screen and show you guys what we came up with. All right. So given that the office space has a limited stuff, we gave our team a little bit of a help. We gave them a pick a vowel, which they chose A, and we gave them a surprise where they were allowed to choose 3 additional letters. So the letters chosen were C, P, D, A, M, T, L. That's our environment for performance. So they chose a mouse, phone, air condition, desk, table, right? And the words that we came up with would have been timely, performance, management, delivery, consistency, and agile, which is the arena that we would want to perform in. And from our letters that we also had glaring at us the acronym MPADT. And we thought that this was, meant to be because we are the champion of the performance management system. And this is what Breakout Room 2 was able to come up with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Breakout Room 2. Go over to Breakout Room 3, I think it's Shada.
Good afternoon. Let me share my screen. Good afternoon. We had a small group this afternoon. We basically got 3 suggestions for items that the participants were able to spot in their rooms. We had a manual, we had a phone, we had a computer. So we had P, M, and C to work with, which were actually wonderful letters. So we have performance, measurement, and coordination. Thank you.
Short and sweet. Breakout room 4, Aja, I think it is.
Yes. Hi. So we had 5 items. We had the computer, a poinsettia, glass, an ink pen, and a telephone. So for C, we had communication. For P, we had passion. For G, we had goal-oriented. I was integrity, and T was transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Aja, for the festive contribution with the poinsettia. Whoever gave that word, we like it. And I think it's number 6 now, which is the combo with Monique.
Yes, hi everyone. So among ourselves, we were able to identify paper, air condition, stapler, a fan, and hand sanitizer. So coming out of those things, Monique is just gonna share the screen, and using the first letter for those words, we came up with 3 words: past, path, and fast. So we are saying that we want to leave the inefficiencies and shortcomings of the public service in the past. We want to create a new path to public service development and efficiency, and we're anticipating getting to that new path fast. And that's it for us.
A new path fast. Well, that one will stick with me. So we'd like to welcome to give us the way forward. We've had a lot of things thrown at us this morning, and the director of the Modernization and Service Improvement Division, Ms. Colleen Galazzi, will now put it all together for us and tell us what are the next steps. You would have been interacting with her team in the breakout rooms, and so she is the director of this division, which is leading the PSPMS. Thank you, Colleen.
Okay, thank you, Alana. Good morning, everyone. It's nearing lunchtime, so I know we're running out of time. So I'll try to be as quick as possible. I believe there's a presentation. Yes? Okay. All righty. Lovely. All right, so in terms of the way forward, you may not have heard earlier on, but this is a 2-year initiative, and we will be piloting this initiative come January, as opposed to rolling it out to the entire 22 ministries. So the 6 ministries that are represented here today are the pilot ministries that we have identified. And with any initiative, we like to start off with baselining. And baselining means we need to gather documentation to get a good idea or sense or feel for the particular organization that we're engaging in. Some of the other initiatives that we'll be using in terms of baselining will be establishing a governance structure and also engaging in some initial training at the beginning as well. Really and truly to sensitize persons, so you guys can move on, really and truly to sensitize persons to the public sector performance management system. You know, I heard in the speech from, I was about to say Dr. McComey, but it's Ali McComey, sorry. With regards to the questions that she raised, and they were valid questions, and one of the things that stuck out there was the HR capacity and capability. And so that's a key initiative for us. At every point, there will be opportunities for learning and growth and development as well. In terms of moving on to slide 2, once we get into the actual initiative, you notice with this particular diagram that it's a 2-lane a road, providing 2-lane, which means communication will be 2-way. It's not going to be whereby MPADT is telling our client pilot, this is what you're going to do, this is how it's going to be done. We're open to hear what your solutions, what your suggestions are, what your challenges are, and we're open to work with those pilot ministries hands-on to solve any of those solutions. So of course, with any performance management, and I just want to iterate, this is public sector performance management, but this is organizational performance management, and not negating what happens at the individual level. There must be some level of alignment, but we're looking at organizational assessment. So of course, in the performance planning phase, we will be also baselining using a self-assessment maturity model to do our self-assessment. From that, what that tool helps us to do, it helps us to identify any gaps, and it helps us to develop an action plan to close those gaps. Now, our approach has always been to work closely with those who receive the service, that is your customers and the citizens, and also work closely with those who provide the service, that's the staff as well. So there'll be lots of engagement and activities involving those groups of persons. So I mentioned about developing an action plan coming out of the gap analysis. And just moving on to the third slide. So we spoke about doing the reviews, and the reviews won't be done at the ending of the 2 years. There's lots of opportunities during the 2-year period for us and the client pilot ministry to decide on the number of touch points or review sessions that we may have, because we want to make sure that we're going along the correct path. So I'm seeing the review being almost every quarter or so, but that can be agreed upon with the various ministries. And with any initiative that we're doing, of course, we have to make sure that we report to our executive, our key stakeholders. In this case, reporting will be done straight up to the cabinet and also to the Board of Permanent Secretaries. It's the same approach that was taken under the MPMF, so we've maintained that. And of course, obtaining feedback from the Prime Minister and the Cabinet is key to just get a pulse in terms of where we are, getting feedback also from our citizens, which will be continuous, also helps us to have an idea as if we are going along the right path, to determine what measures need to be changed, or to determine if we should be measuring something else that we weren't measuring before. And then it brings us to the end of the performance planning, and the cycle starts all over again. So as I mentioned, each cohort, each cycle is a 2-year process. And this is the last slide that brings us to the end in terms of the process. So I know I heard Alana speak to the work and lots of work. Yes, lots of work will be involved, but it will be good work. It will be enjoyable work. As I mentioned, there's opportunities, lots of opportunities for persons to learn, because at the end of the day, we would like to ensure that there's a transfer of skills and knowledge within that particular pilot ministry, so they can carry on and do the work that we've been doing. I heard Ms. McCormick speak to dedicated units, yes? And I know that will be, could be a challenge for some of our pilot ministries, because across GOT, we are all suffering for resources. We all have to work with scarce resources. So I believe that will be a challenge, but we'll see how we can work around that, how we could mitigate that, how we could come up with solutions to ensure that we have a dedicated group, or to ensure that the work continues. So that's it in terms of a nutshell, in terms of the way forward. Very quickly, we will be going into more details with the individual pilots when we actually do our kickoff sessions in January 2021. Yeah, so thank you, Alana.
Thank you very much, Ms. Galazzi, for, again, both you and Mrs. McCormick have emphasized all the things that are to come, which, yes, it's a lot, but it's exciting. It's exciting to see how these things will make what we do matter more and feel more valuable. So just about, I know everybody's ready for lunch, but it's just 2 more things. We want to get some feedback from you. You would understand, given the nature of what we're doing today, feedback is very important. Even Ms. Galazzi would have shared 2-way communication is valuable. So if you look in the Zoom chat, our host, Anira Maharaj from SID, is going to put the link to a survey for you to complete. So you just look in the chat. If you don't have it up, just hover somewhere at the bottom of your screen and you'll get your chat options to open it, and you'll see the survey link. We're going to give you just a few minutes, 5 to 8 minutes, to complete the SurveyMonkey link, and then come back into your Zoom window once you're finished. And in about 8 minutes, we'll just go on to the close off of the program. So if you can just do that right now, we'd be grateful. Thank you. While you're doing the survey, one of the questions might ask of an activity called a chat quiz, which we left out for time constraint reasons. So just don't bother to answer that one, or put a neutral answer, what not applicable if necessary. Thanks. everyone. I'm being told that if you didn't complete it, you can still hit submit even after because it's on SurveyMonkey. So I'll ask you all to just come back to the main room now just for our wrap up. And I want to re-emphasize the appreciation that my ministry and our executive, on behalf of the executive, we just want to really tell you how appreciative we are that you have agreed to sign on to the PSPMS. You see how easy it rolls off after a while? That you have agreed to sign on to this pilot project with us. You would have gotten a lot of information today on the kind of things that will be involved going forward. And rest assured that in the new year, you will continue to get correspondence from us in the forms of emails, links, videos. All the information that was shared here today will be put into a sort of repository site that you can have access to. And we'll continue to send out further information to you on what's next, when are the next meetings, and what's required of you as the program rolls out. I would like to especially thank our guest speaker, Mrs. Arlene McComey, for all that she shared today. It really was valuable. And we hope that what you would have gauged as well in the project is how much knowledge even people within the ministry and those who have just left have that we can turn to as a resource, how valuable this is. I would like to thank the minister who is here and shared her keynote address, and our permanent secretary, Mr. Claude McCullough, who told us to get down to business. And then we had our video, which told us, let's get this bread in 2021, which is an encouragement for us to, even as times are a little bit hard, there are things that we can look forward to. There's change coming, there's transformation coming that is exciting, that will add value and accountability to what we do, that will make what we do feel more, that it matters, that we matter. So that's the work of PSPMS. I just want to thank you again for attending this session and for participating as willingly as you did. And we look forward to working with you in the new year. I take this opportunity to wish you a very Merry Christmas, all the best for this season, and a bright and prosperous, and as Minister said, even a little more subdued, but still bright and prosperous New Year 2021. Thank you very much, everyone.